Under the flickering streetlights of a rain-soaked Arlington night, Maya Jackson's SUV rolled to a stop, her sharp eyes scanning the quiet Virginia streets. She was a CIA operative, her mission nearly done, until flashing lights and a piercing siren shattered the silence. Two cops, Derek Walsh and Sean Murray, pulled her over, their smirks hiding a darker plan. They thought she was just another easy target, unaware she held secrets that could unravel their world. When a bag of drugs appeared in her trunk, one she'd never seen the trap snap shut. But Maya's calm gaze hid a truth that would turn their scheme to ashes. What did these cops not know? And how would one rookie's choice ignite a firestorm of justice? Welcome to A Story That Lingers. Before we continue, let us know in the comments, where are you watching? If these stories resonate with you, please hit that subscribe button to support the channel, because tomorrow we'll have another special story for you. The rain fell in a steady drizzle over Arlington, Virginia, on a chilly October night in 2023. Streetlights flickered, casting a pale glow on deserted sidewalks, their hum barely audible over the patter of raindrops. Maya Jackson, 34, gripped the wheel of her sleek black SUV, her dark eyes scanning the quiet suburban streets. She was tired but focused, her latest CIA mission nearly complete. The dashboard clock read just past midnight, and she allowed herself a small breath of relief. Soon she'd be out of this small town, her cover intact, her work done. As she approached a dimly lit intersection, she slowed her sharp instincts, catching the glint of a stop sign, half hidden by a drooping tree. She came to a full stop, her hands steady, then turned left. Moments later, blue and red lights flashed in her rearview mirror, their glow slicing through the rain. A siren wailed sharp and jarring, shattering the stillness. Maya's pulse didn't spike. Years as a field operative had trained her for moments like this. She glanced in the mirror, watching a squad car pull closer, its headlights casting long shadows across her dashboard. With practiced calm, she eased her SUV to the curb, turned off the engine, and reached for her glove compartment, pulling out her license and registration. Two officers stepped out of the patrol car, their navy uniforms crisp under the streetlights. The driver, tall, with a square jaw and a swagger, was Derek Walsh. His partner, shorter and stockier, was Sean Murray. Their badges gleamed, but their eyes held something darker. Derek approached her window, shining a flashlight into her face. "Good evening, ma'am," he said, his voice thick with false courtesy. "You know why we pulled you over?" Maya met his gaze, her expression neutral. "No, officer," she said evenly. "I wasn't speeding, and I stopped at the sign." Derek's lips twitched into a condescending smile. "Actually, you rolled right through it. That's a moving violation." Maya's brow furrowed slightly, but her voice stayed calm. "I'm certain I stopped, officer." "License and registration," Derek snapped, cutting her off. She handed over the documents, her movements deliberate. Derek scanned them, his eyes lingering on her license. "Virginia plate's local address," he muttered, then louder. "You live around here?" Maya nodded. "Yes, officer." Sean, lingering near the rear of her SUV, called out, "Hey, Derek, you might want to check this out." Derek passed her papers back without comment. "Stay in the car," he ordered, striding to the trunk. Maya watched them in her side mirror, her jaw tightening. Sean pointed at something, his voice low, conspiratorial. Derek nodded, and their shared glance sent a flicker of unease through her. Not fear, Maya didn't do fear, but a warning, sharp and clear. Derek returned, his face grim. "Step out of the vehicle, ma'am." Maya tilted her head. "May I ask why we've got reason to believe you're carrying illegal substances?" Derek said, his tone clipped, almost rehearsed. Maya's eyes narrowed. "Illegal substances? I think you've made a mistake." "We'll see about that," Derek said, gesturing for her to exit. Sean lifted her trunk, revealing a small, unmarked bag of white powder, sitting conspicuously near the edge. Well, what do we have here? Sean said, his voice dripping with mock surprise. Powdery goodness. Maya's gaze flicked to the bag, then back to the officers, her face unreadable. Her mind raced, cataloging every detail. That bag wasn't hers. She checked her car before leaving. This was a setup, and they were playing it with confidence. Derek smirked. Anything you want to tell us? Maya's lips curved into a faint, calculated smile. I'll save my comments for the right time, she said. Derek chuckled, mistaking her calm for arrogance. Oh, you'll get your chance. You're under arrest for possession with intent to distribute. As Sean cuffed her, Maya's gaze remained steady, her voice soft but sharp. You're making a big mistake. Sean paused for half a second, then snapped the cuffs tight. Yeah, we'll see, Derek said, leading her to the squad car. As they drove away, Maya stared out the window, the rain streaking the glass. These two thought they'd scored an easy win. They had no idea who they were dealing with. The Arlington police station was a squat gray building, its fluorescent lights casting a harsh glow on scuffed linoleum floors. The air smelled of burnt coffee and old paperwork, punctuated by the crackle of a police radio. Maya sat in the back seat of the squad car, her hands cuffed, her expression as calm as ever. Derek and Sean led her inside, their boots echoing in the quiet corridor. The night shift officers glanced up from their desks, their faces a mix of boredom and curiosity. Got a big one tonight, Derek announced, his voice loud and brash. Sean tossed the bag of powder onto the counter with a theatrical flourish. Caught her red-handed, he said. Drug runner right here. Maya remained silent, her eyes sweeping the room. She noted the placement of every camera, the layout of the desks, the casual nods between officers. This was a small station, the kind where secrets were shared in whispers and loyalty trumped truth. They led her to a fingerprinting station where Derek removed her cuffs. A young officer, Ethan Brooks, 24, with tired eyes and a nervous energy, stood at the console. Name, he asked, his tone almost apologetic. Maya Porter, she replied evenly. Occupation? She paused just for a moment. Consultant, she said, the word vague but true. Ethan nodded, typing, his unease growing. There was something about her too calm, too composed for someone facing a felony charge. Derek and Sean, leaning against the counter, laughed quietly, enjoying their moment. Maya's voice cut through their laughter. I'd like to speak to a lawyer. Derek's smirk faltered. You've got a smart mouth, he said, his tone darkening. Let's see how funny you are after a night in lockup. They led her to a holding cell, its metal bench bolted to the wall, the bars casting long shadows across the concrete. The door slammed shut, the sound echoing. Derek lingered, watching her. You don't look like the type to get mixed up in this, he said, almost curious. But don't worry, the courts love a sob story. Maybe they'll go easy. Maya tilted her head, her gaze locking onto his. Or maybe they'll see through yours, she said, her voice low and sharp. Derek shifted, muttering something under his breath, then walked away. Maya leaned back against the cold wall, exhaling slowly. The cell was dim, the fluorescent hum a constant drone, but her mind was sharp. She'd activated a tracker hidden in her jacket, a standard CIA device. Her team would find her soon. For now, she played the part, the calm detainee, the unremarkable woman. But every moment was a chance to observe. She noted the officers' footsteps, the crackle of their radios, the rhythm of their routines. In the break room, Derek and Sean sipped coffee, laughing. She thinks she's untouchable, Sean said, shaking his head. Did you see her face? Not a flicker of panic. That'll change, Derek replied, smirking. She's just another name in the system now. Nobody's digging deeper. Neither noticed Ethan lingering nearby, his face pale, his eyes darting toward the holding cells. Something about this arrest didn't sit right with him, But in this station, questioning senior officers was a risk he wasn't sure he could take. Morning broke over Arlington, the rain softening to a mist. The station hummed with the start of the day shift officers shuffling papers and sipping coffee. Ethan Brooks sat at his desk, his fingers hovering over his keyboard, the arrest report open on his screen. He'd been up all night replaying the stop the bag the way Maya hadn't flinched. Stop for failure to yield at a marked intersection, he read aloud, muttering. Driver exhibited nervous behavior. Consent to search granted. Controlled substances found. It sounded right followed procedure, but it felt wrong. Too tidy, too perfect. He glanced at the surveillance monitor where Maya sat in her Revolue, still as a statue, her dark eyes unreadable. Ethan's stomach churned. He'd seen Derek and Sean's cases before, always the same pattern: minor violations, escalating to drug charges, mostly against people of color. He opened another file, then another, his heart sinking as the names piled up. Maya's voice echoed in his mind from earlier when he'd passed her cell. You see it, don't you, Ethan? Something's not right. He'd brushed her off, but her words stuck. In the break room, Derek leaned back, coffee in hand. You notice Brooks acting weird? He asked Sean. Kid looked like he'd seen a ghost. Sean shrugged. He's fresh out of the academy, probably overthinking his first big case. Derek's eyes narrowed. Keep an eye on him. Last thing we need is a rookie poking around. Ethan, back at his desk, stared at Maya's file. Her license was clean, her address local, but her job consultant felt like a placeholder. Who was she? He glanced toward the break room where Derek and Sean laughed, their confidence grating. Ethan's fingers twitched over his keyboard. He wasn't sure what he was looking for, but he couldn't shake the feeling that Maya Jackson wasn't just another arrest. In her cell, Maya sat motionless, her back straight, her hands resting in her lap. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a sickly glow on the concrete walls. She'd spent years training for moments like this. Long waits, high stakes, the need to stay sharp. A faint smile crossed her lips as she recalled why she joined the CIA. At 19, she'd watched her brother get pulled over, harassed for no reason, his dreams derailed by a system that saw his skin before his potential. She'd vowed to fight that system, to root out corruption from the inside. Now in this cold cell, she was living that vow. The camera outside her cell was old, its lens cloudy, a budget station's weakness. Her tracker had sent its signal hours ago. Her team was close. She just needed to wait. Outside, Ethan paced near the holding cells, his boots scuffing the floor. He stopped outside Maya's cell, hesitating. You said something's wrong, he said, his voice low. What did you mean? Maya's eyes met his sharp and assessing. You know exactly what I mean, she said. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Ethan's jaw tightened. I'm just doing my job. That's what they're counting on. Maya replied, her gaze unwavering. Men like Walsh and Murray, they rely on people like you to look the other way. Ethan's face flushed, and he stepped back, muttering something, before retreating. But her words clung to him, heavy and undeniable. In a nondescript office across town, a phone buzzed. A man in a suit answered, his voice calm. Signal received. Location confirmed. Deploying resources. Maya leaned back, closing her eyes for a moment. The storm was coming, and she was its quiet center. By noon, the station buzzed with routine activity, officers typing reports, radios crackling, coffee cups piling up. Ethan sat at his desk, his fingers drumming nervously. Maya's words echoed, "You always have a choice." He opened the station's digital archives, his heart pounding. Case after case tied to Derek and Sean appeared, each one a mirror of Maya's traffic stops, turned drug busts mostly against Black or Latino drivers. The knot in his chest tightened. He glanced at the break room where Derek and Sean laughed over donuts. their arrogance a stark contrast to the truth unfolding on his screen. Ethan's resolve hardened. He opened a secure email channel, his fingers trembling as he typed, "To whom it may concern, there's something wrong in this station. I don't know who else to turn to. Please help." He attached the case files and hit send, his breath catching. Had he just ended his career? In her cell, Maya sensed the shift. She saw Ethan's shadow pass his steps slower, heavier. She smiled faintly, knowing he'd made his choice. Across town, a black sedan pulled up outside a plain building. Agent Nathan Cole, 45, stepped out, his suit crisp, his expression unreadable. "ETA on extraction," an agent asked. Cole checked his watch. "We move when she gives a signal. For now, we watch." In the station's break room, Derek sipped his coffee. "You think this is about her?" he asked Sean, his voice low. Sean shrugged. "Why would it be? We've got the evidence, the report, no witnesses. She's done." Derek nodded, but a flicker of unease crossed his face. Ethan at his desk stared at the monitor where Maya sat still and composed. He didn't know what he'd started, but there was no going back. The station's front doors swung open that afternoon, the sound cutting through the usual hum. Agent Nathan Cole strode in, flanked by two FBI agents, their badges gleaming under the fluorescent lights. The desk sergeant, a gruff man named Harris, straightened his hand, hovering over his radio. "What's this about?" he asked, wary. "Federal investigation," Cole said, his voice steady. "We need access to your records and holding cells. Now." The station fell silent, officers exchanging glances. Ethan's heart raced as he watched from his desk, his palms slick with sweat. He knew his email had triggered this, but the speed of it stunned him. Derek and Sean emerged from the break room, their laughter dying as they saw the agents. Cole's gaze locked onto them. "Officers Walsh and Murray, we need to speak with you." Derek forced a smirk. "What's this about?" "We've got nothing to hide." Cole didn't blink. "Good. Then you won't mind answering some questions." The agents led Derek and Sean to an interrogation room, their footsteps heavy. Ethan watched, his chest tight. In her cell, Maya heard the commotion, her lips curving into a faint smile. The door buzzed open and an agent appeared. "Miss Jackson, you're free to go," he said. She stood, her movement smooth, and walked out, pausing at Ethan's desk. Their eyes met. "Thank you," she said quietly. Ethan nodded, unable to speak. In the interrogation room, Cole set up a portable server, pulling up security footage. The screen showed Derek and Sean holding the bag of powder before Maya's car was searched. Derek's face paled. "Care to explain this?" Cole asked. Derek stammered. Sean looked away, their confidence crumbling. The storm had arrived. The Arlington courthouse was packed the next morning, the air thick with tension. Reporters lined the back, cameras flashing as Derek Walsh and Sean Murray stood before the judge, their faces grim. Maya Jackson, now revealed as a CIA operative, took the stand, her voice steady as she recounted the setup. "I stopped at the sign," she said. "The bag wasn't mine. They thought I was just another name in the system. They were wrong." The courtroom buzzed as Cole presented the evidence, security footage, audio from Maya's hidden device, and dozens of case files showing Derek and Sean's pattern of framing innocent people, mostly minorities. The judge's gavel fell, sentencing both to long prison terms. Derek's bravado was gone. Sean's head hung low. Ethan, called as a witness, stood tall despite the glares from other officers. As he left the stand, Maya caught his eye, nodding slightly. The truth had exploded just as she'd known it would. Outside, the rain had stopped, the sky clear for the first time in days. Maya stood by the courthouse steps, her expression calm but resolute. Cole approached. "We've got everything we need," he said. "Your work here is done." She nodded. "Make sure it sticks." He smiled faintly. It will. The charges against Maya were dropped and the cases tied to Derek and Sean were reopened, giving justice to those they'd wronged. A week later, Maya sat on a park bench in Arlington, a coffee in her hands, the autumn leaves rustling around her. Ethan Brooks approached his uniform, replaced by a jacket, his face still carrying the weight of the past days. "I wasn't sure you'd show," he said, sitting down. Maya raised an eyebrow, a faint smile on her lips. "You earned this," she said. "Not many would have done what you did." Ethan looked down, his voice low. "I don't know if it made a difference. The department's a mess, and there are more like them out there." "It made a difference to the people they hurt," Maya said firmly. "And it made a difference to you. Don't underestimate that." Ethan managed a small smile. "What about you? What's next?" Maya leaned back, her gaze distant. "Another mission. There's always another fight." Ethan nodded. "And I'm ready for it." The news of the scandal spread like wildfire, headlines screaming about corrupt cops brought down by a CIA agent and a rookie's courage. Arlington's police department faced a massive overhaul with reforms promised and resignations piling up. Maya packed a small bag in her apartment, a new dossier waiting on her table. Her phone buzzed and Cole's voice came through. "Ready for the next one?" "Always," she said, smiling faintly. As she stepped into the crisp evening air, the door clicked shut behind her. The fight wasn't over, but for now, justice had prevailed. Ethan, now a reluctant hero, walked through the station, his head high despite the whispers. He'd made a choice, and it had changed everything. Thank you for listening. If this story of courage and justice moved you, share a moment when you saw the truth shine through. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories that inspire. Keep fighting for what's right, one choice at a time.